Indiana Dweez here. Now, I want to go on a topic and just say, why hasn't Hitomi looked any different from her, Dead or Alive 4, or Dead or Alive 3, or any Dead or Alive incarnation of her? Sure, there was the extreme volleyball games, but that don't count. She still looks the same. I mean, her hair should have been brightened up with a little bit of gray hair, with her eye color being darker, face changing a different, look. I mean, look at Saints Row. Every character looks different from the nation due to like the change in the timeline in the games. Like, none of the characters look or even remotely look this or dress the same. But Hitomi, on the other hand, the only thing different about her is her main outfit. Her main outfit changed due to ongoing changes to her outfit and her fighting style. Her fighting style and her taunts changed in DOA 6. The intros of her fight have changed, and it's not the same. And the ending outros of each fight that she's in has changed over the years. Now, granted, I've played Dead or Alive 4, and oh my Zeus! It was the most difficult game to beat. Now, the extreme volleyball games, psh, the only difficult thing about it is the fucking slide segment of the game. Like, what the fuck? Everything else is much more fucking easier, aside from the fucking games and shit. And what has happened is, like, hello, we have a thing about like, if you just no, the whole game of DOA Extreme Volleyball, which was a sport, like a summer sports type of game, like, we have, if you so much as slack off on doing anything else in the game, like, well, why don't you just add the end to the game anyways, regardless of who you're playing as? Like, there's no male representation for the extreme volleyball games. I'm like, even men love to play volleyball from time to time. It's not exclusive to women. The enjoyment of the sport of volleyball is not exclusive to women. Like, what the fuck? At some point in time, somebody's gotta step up and just say, hey, there's more than just volleyball as a sport to choose from. Like, there's more than just volleyball. There's skateboarding, snowboarding, BMX, motocrossing, ATV racing, football, basketball, pro wrestling, martial arts, which is martial arts has been a part of the main game the main Dead or Alive game. Also, well, there's like a shit ton of sports. Hockey, soccer, every sport you could think of. And we don't get Dead or Alive extreme skateboarding. Like, we're not getting that kind of game, but it's always like that extreme volleyball shit. Trying to turn that into another series with the Extreme 3 and Extreme Venus on the way. And Extreme 3 and Extreme Venus is, well, Extreme 3 is a Japanese exclusive, which they were afraid of releasing the Western version of it. Like, what the fuck? And Hitomi never looked any different at all. Like, she never looked any different at all from you know, her, you know, being, you know, a predominantly, you know, always looked the same kind of chick, as where Mortal Kombat changes with the ever-changing times. Like, the ever-changing times that comes out of, you know, Mortal Kombat changing every fucking year. Like, ooh, the previous incarnations of the main characters are not fucking canon. I mean, with Mortal Kombat X, with Mortal Kombat 9, Mortal Kombat X, like every Mortal Kombat game prior to Mortal Kombat 11, with previous incarnations of the same characters not being the same. None of them are the same. None of them are consistent. Your sure as shit don't get consistency with Mortal Kombat, but you sure as shit get consistency with Dead or Alive. Like, what the fuck? I mean, what in the glorious great beard of Zeus do you not get, like, a change in the appearance of any? Sure, you get like consistency from like the PS2, Xbox 360, Xbox generation. Well, mostly Xbox 360 generation, PS2 generation of you know, of Dead or Alive characters, you know, changing. Like, oh, it was like in like the borderline Japanese version of the 3D universe of Dead or Alive, and they didn't change much in Ninja Gaiden, which Ninja Gaiden was the precursor for the Dead or Alive series. I mean, you look at it and you see that, oh, the Dead or Alive Extreme 2, Dead or Alive Extreme Volleyball renditions of the same characters. I mean, they made Kokoro back in the day. They made Kokoro look less attractive back then. They made Lisa Hamilton less attractive. Because the software and the hardware of the time wasn't on par with Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate, Dead or Alive 5 Last Round, Dead or Alive 5, Dead or Alive 6, and only those HD. There was the 2D universe, the 3D universe, the 3D HD universe, and the HD universe type of Dead or Alive games that were tied and connected to the you know, the that one Ninja Gaiden game series that had a 2D side-scrolling beat 'em up type of incarnations. I mean, it's all crazy. In this day and age, Hitomi's appearance should have definitely, and I mean definitely, changed from her teens to her adulthood years. I mean, look at all the shit that's been going on. I mean, my Zeus, what is Tekken McCoy games are at this point? I mean, the Dead or Alive 5 all the way to Dead or Alive 6 was just a fucking shameless Dead or Alive remake and remaster at this point. As where it's like a remake of classic Dead or Alive games. As the Dead or Alive 4 all the way to Dead or Alive Extreme 2, Dead or Alive Extreme Volleyball, Dead or Alive Dimension was remastered versions of the 3D arcade 3D incarnations of the game of the game series at this point. And the 2D, if they ever did 2D renditions of the same Dead or Alive games at this point, would have been the 2D universe. The Dead or Alive games for the PS1 up to the PS2 were the 3D universe ones, and the ones for the Xbox and the Xbox 360 are the, you know, remastered ones. And then the ones from for the PS4s, Xbox 360s, PS3s, and PS5s were all HD universe, meaning like remakes of the same characters. And I don't think it's taken the whole change the character models very seriously at this point. And Hitomi's appearance should have changed over the years, well within the lore of Dead or Alive. Like, that's problematic for the gaming industry. Like, Dead or Alive 5 all the way up to Dead or Alive 6 was just shameless remakes, but adding in new characters. I mean, not once was Sayori Satoshi, like Sayori Sakushi Satori, Mary Rose, Honoka, who else, Luna, any of those characters were not in any of the older games. Sure, Mila was, and sure, Toriko was, but Toriko has not made an appearance in any of the other games. Rio, yeah, Rio, one of the gaming table specialists of the Dead or Alive Extreme Volleyball games. She has not made another appearance. And forget Ayame, forget Miyako, forget Monica, and definitely forget Toriko, Rio, Nikki. These characters,
people won't leave me alone.
These characters were not, you know, seen because they were minor characters.
A couple grenades would keep the crowds
and
away.
And we all know that Naotengu was not added until DOA 5 last round. And might as well forget all those other characters. I mean, if they had of, you know, had their own arcs in their own games made by, you know, Tekamo Koi, they would have been, you know, tying all the characters together. Had their own arcs, other main characters that don't make it into Dead or Alive, and the only protagonists are every goddamn character in the fucking game itself, having their own games, their own arcs, from beginning to end, tying in and validating them being a part of the Dead or Alive roster. But it's always those characters from the Ninja Gaiden series, the main playable characters, the main playable cast of Ninja Gaiden that gets thrown up, puked all over the position at the helms of the damn series. Like Momiji, Rachel, Kasumi, Ayane, Ryu Hayabusa,
People see me coming?
and Hayate being the ones that are the main cast. And then there are other characters like Mizuri not being added to the female Dead or Alive roster. But also, how does Honoka fit into it, huh? How does Honoka fit into the fucking lore? There was no cutscenes of Honoka appearing in the Ninja Gaiden series, but in the Dead or Alive series, she gets some cutscenes featuring her from various different perspectives. And why the fuck are all the other characters in Dead or Alive? Were they even featured in the Ninja Gaiden series? I don't think so. Did they even have any of their game series, their own individual spin-offs? I don't think so. Were their spin-offs able or available to even happen? I don't think so. And yes, my biggest pet peeve about that is, Tekamo Koi wasn't consistent about connecting every game character in Dead or Alive with the main story of Ninja Gaiden. Now, unless if I wasn't paying attention, they added them characters in, but they didn't add Kana because she was probably the only little itty-bitty child who wasn't allowed in Dead or Alive's roster, or the Extreme Volleyball roster, because she's too young of a character it will set off pedo vibes and pedo alarms to put a little child like Kana from the Ninja Gaiden series in a swimsuit. Yeah, putting a mostly mute little girl into a swimsuit into the Dead or Alive Extreme Volleyball would have definitely been a controversial thing to do. But Hitomi, yeah. There's so many things I hate about how they handled her backstory. Making her born in 1975 instead of like 1989 or 1990 or whatever. I mean, when you really look at it, the gloves, the skin tight pants, the sexy tank top, the headband, the gray sneakers, her attitude, the way she dresses, the way she talks, the way she behaves, the way she acts, the way the way her voice sounds, and everything else in between, with her behavior, her personality. All of it screams fucking millennial. And if I'm not mistaken, if she was actually born in the 1970s, she would be wearing clothes straight from the 70s. It had a Farrah Fawcett, the traditional 1970s Farrah Fawcett hairdo, and she used 70s lingo. Should have used 1970s slang and lingo, or whatever. And she would have spoke and talked and behaved as if she was, you know,
There's a lot of people
she would have been behaving like she was actually born in the 70s. She would have been behaving like a fucking actual Gen Xer. I know this for a fact. My mom is born in the 70s. My mom behaves like a Gen Xer. Hitomi has none of that patent down to confirm that she was actually born in 1975. Which makes it stupid. Like, very stupid. And yes, people really need to start looking at it from the bigger perspective. Like, Hitomi should have changed, and if she was actually born in 1975, she would have already been an old woman by now.
Great time indeed. Saint's about to be spanked.
You know, she herself would have been a wrinkly, old, aging, elderly woman, or middle-aged woman at the time of Dead or Alive 6. But no. Did they do it? No. Because they know that they're full of shit for doing that. The only ones who should be born in the 70s and 60s are the parents in the lore. Are the parents in the video games. Being born in the 60s and 70s. While the ones that are born are either in their teens, 20s, or 30s. Being born in the 80s. Being born in the 90s. Being born in the 2000s. And being born in the post-90s, post-2000s. That would have made a lot more sense. The ones that are in their 30s and 20s and their teens, being
Seems
born
took the
in
right
the
away.
80s, 90s, and the 2000s. But the ones that are the parents of the titular playable characters are to be born in the 60s and 70s, and the only playable character that is a playable parent in Dead or Alive is Bass Armstrong, and having him being born in the 70s or at least the 1960s. Most likely the 1970s. But the ones that are born in those who are in their 30s and 20s and teens being born in the 60s or 70s is complete bullshit. Hitomi Buck Fink is
I gotta keep moving.
you know, the example. And let's not forget about the unnamed parents of some of the characters that their parents do not appear in the game, or Hitomi's parents. I mean, you gotta think about it. It's really ridiculous. It's really ridiculous the more you think about it. And that's a known fact. So Hitomi's appearance should have changed to make her in her you know their like Hitomi should have had her appearance changed. Like Hitomi's appearance changed to make sure that she's like in her late 30s, early 40s. But Taka McCoy wound up, X-naying and laxing on that kind of shit. So yeah, they fucked up on that part. But they could have changed everything. But I get it. It's the gaming industry. They can't make wrinkly old characters in the Dead or Alive game, thusly making room for a new generation of playable characters, where the previous playable characters are all old, out of touch, out of their prime characters.
Where's my next fight?
And with everything, like with everything being like how they done it all. But time has to move forward. But with the games being the way they are, it's been hard to separate fact from fiction. Fact is if you were born in the 70s, you wouldn't still be a young pup like you were back in your golden glory, your glory days, You wouldn't be the same young kid that you once was back in your glory days, back when you were still just a young kid. You wouldn't be that same young kid anymore. And we all know how that ends up being the case. My mom was a gray-haired old woman. And due to that fact about that is how many people don't get to stay young forever. I mean, that's how things are to be precise. And that's a known fact. We all know that's the truth. So, yeah, Hitomi's look should have changed over time, over the years. But ever as always, I've been Jason DeWeese, or Jason Muncie, Indiana DeWeese, your host. Leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and share the video.